In this video, we are going to be ranking the divisions in the NFL from worst to best. And of course, the worst division has got to be the NFC South. The NFC South has virtually no talent in that division. Every single team last year finished with a losing record. Buccaneers slipped in with an 8-9 record. Really, it could have been the Panthers, even the Saints, pretty easily. All they had to do was, just have won one more game or something like that, or something else just goes their way. But again, Tom Brady should not have been allowed back into the playoffs. And guess who's not even on the Buccaneers anymore? Tom Brady. They're going to suck again. They should have enjoyed their 3 consecutive playoff berths, their 2 consecutive NFC South titles, their Super Bowl. They really should savor in that. 2023, they're going to suck again. Just like they did before, just like how they couldn't make the playoffs before 2020. Since 2007, they literally needed Tom Brady to carry them through. And now that he's not there, again, Buccaneers are in a really bad position. Carolina Panthers got the number 1 overall pick, but they traded away their wide receiver to the Chicago Bears as a result of that, who was actually pretty good. Now, it's hard for me to see the Carolina Panthers as being a good contender. The Atlanta Falcons have always played inconsistently. And ever since they choked Super Bowl 51 by blowing a 28-3 lead, it seems that they can't hold the lead down. They've always been known for extreme choking. New Orleans Saints, I think, maybe could have a bit of a comeback. They did sweep Tom Brady in the regular season in 2020 and 2021. But they hadn't made the playoffs since 2020 when they lost in the divisional round to the Buccaneers and Tom Brady. So I think the Saints could carry the division. They could have a winning record. But things are just not looking good for the NFC South. And the NFC North, I think, is going to be the second worst division. Green Bay Packers, 8-9 record in 2022 with Aaron Rodgers. Without them, unless Jordan Love turns out to be a miracle, I really don't think that the Green Bay Packers are going to make it very far. I think that they're going to totally suck. Chicago Bears were the worst team in the league last year with 3 wins and 14 losses. Justin Fields might have had a breakout season, but they can't just do it with Justin Fields, and I have a really hard time seeing them making the playoffs. And the Minnesota Vikings, well, they really just got lucky and they got away with it. They won 13 games, but 11 of them were within 1 score. So pretty much almost all of their wins were games that could have gone either way. Pretty much, again, all their wins, they could have very easily have just not scored that 1 touchdown or whatever, and they could have finished 2-15. And I know it's extreme to say. What I'm saying is that if these 1-score games were balanced, Vikings probably would be at about 8-9. And definitely not 13-4. They had a negative point differential, which, again, further supports why their team realistically should have been at 8-9. And they got humiliated in the wild card round by actually losing a 1-score game against the New York Giants. That is a big reason why I think that the Minnesota Vikings will not be able to hold on division. But the Lions haven't won the division in over 30 years. The last time they also had a playoff win. Jared Goff is pretty good. And again, the only reason why they missed the playoffs in 2022 is because of a tiebreaker to the Seahawks. I could see the Lions winning the NFC North, but whoever wins the NFC North is almost certainly getting eliminated in the wild card round. Unless, again, a miracle happens. And I think that the third worst division in the entire league is going to be the AFC South. I'm not saying the AFC South is actually total garbage like the NFC South and North, but I don't think the AFC South is really that good to begin with. For a while, they were being dominated by the Tennessee Titans, but in 2022, they choked it all away. They had a 7-3 record, and then they lost 7 consecutive games. You cannot ignore that. Todd Downing got fired, so maybe that'll help the offensive line of the Titans. But they lost games they really shouldn't have. They should not have lost that Week 16 game against the Houston Texans. But they did. And speaking of the Texans, I think that they're going to improve upon their 2022 record with the number 2 and 3 picks. Number 3 being as a result of a trade to the Arizona Cardinals. But again, it's really hard for me to see the Texans ever being a dominant team. They've never made it to an AFC championship game. They just never have made it there. So again, I find it really hard to believe that the Texans could carry the division. They did take the Chiefs into overtime. And then they won 2 out of their last 3 games. But just given how terribly they've played before that, again, I really just don't see the Texans ever making it that far. And I think 6-11 would still be a little bit higher than what I think they can produce. Indianapolis Colts had a 7-game collapse last year, but even before that collapse, they were already on a losing record. You cannot make this stuff up. They blew a 33-point lead to the Minnesota Vikings, while also letting the Cowboys score 33 points in the fourth quarter before, when the Cowboys were already up 2. Like, honestly, the Colts are a horrible football team. You know, I mean, the fact they couldn't beat the Texans at all this season really just goes to show how bad the Indianapolis Colts are. And the Colts and Texans, as well as the Falcons, and also the Cardinals, none of them have any primetime games this year. I really think that the AFC South is going to be held down by the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the fact that they got the number 1 overall picks in 2020 and 2021, and without any trades, really just goes to show you that they aren't the greatest of teams. Now, Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback, and he was able to lead the team to a 9-8 record. Maybe that 5-game win streak at the end was enough to turn this team around. Plus, their 27-0 comeback in the wild card round against the LA Chargers. Again, maybe they can turn this team around, but I don't see it happening. I see this as being a team where maybe they'll get 10-7 next year. Maybe they'll do pretty good. But again, the Jaguars are in a position where they need to do more to succeed. They need to, the Jacksonville Jaguars need to not only just play more consistently, but, you know, play consistently in the playoffs too. Now, as far as the next week's division, it's hard to say because at this point, all the divisions have good teams. So it's really, really, really hard for me to say. I mean, oh my God, look at all the moisture on a tree. It's hard for me to say what I think the next worst division is. It's not, you know, it's just not easy to say. With all that being said, I think that the next worst division is going to be the NFC West. It's so hard because of all these teams, but you look at the NFC West and you really see how they've regressed from 2021. In 2021, they got the Super Bowl 56 winner in the LA Rams, and they went 5-12 last year, worst ever Super Bowl defending champion. You can take a look at the Seahawks. I mean, they barely snuck into the playoffs this year. And Geno Smith is pretty good, but honestly, there was just so much luck involved in them making the playoffs. And Cardinals, they suck. 49ers, I got to say, are a really good team. I mean, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, was able to take them all the way to the NFC Championship game. But in terms of power of the division, this could very well be a division in which you only see one team make the playoffs. For that reason, I'm putting them so low. And that's also why the AFC West is going to go in the number 4 spot. Because again, Chiefs just dominate that division. They've won the division the past 7 years. They've been to the AFC Championship game the last 5. They were in 3 out of the last 4 Super Bowls. They won 2 out of the last 4 Super Bowls. Chiefs are a dominant team. Never underestimate the Chiefs. The thing is, though, who else is good? Chargers did make it to the playoffs pretty comfortably in 2022 after embarrassingly choking in 2021 to the Raiders. And both the Raiders 2021 and Chargers 2022 campaigns ended in wildcard losses. Chargers by blowing a 27-0 lead. And Raiders lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, who before that had not won a playoff game since the 1980s. Maybe 1990. So there's just a lot of inconsistency on that team. The Denver Broncos did hilariously bad. They did win Super Bowl 50 back in February 2016. But again, you know, the Broncos used to be good. Then they lost Peyton Manning. They have Russell Wilson. Maybe with Sean Payton as the head coach and not Nathaniel Hackett, maybe they'll be able to do good with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson did actually beat the Broncos in Super Bowl 48 back in February of 2014. So, again, there is hope for the Denver Broncos. I see a really hard time of them, you know, being able to truly succeed with the way that their team operates. But maybe the Broncos will surprise me. Who knows? Now, number 3 I'm going to give to the AFC North. Cincinnati Bengals are a very powerful team. They nearly won Super Bowl 56 against the LA Rams, and they nearly won the AFC Championship game to make Super Bowl 57. Both of their losses were heartbreaking. If the Bengals can overcome these small struggles, they could win Super Bowl 58. Joe Burrow is a very good quarterback. And you know, he's a very good quarterback. He can really do a lot of stuff with this team. Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, I don't think they're going to make a Super Bowl, but they actually did pretty good against the Bengals in a wild card round, better than the Bills could in a divisional round. I mean, let's be honest, the Ravens did put up a better fight against the Bengals than the Bills did. So, you know, you have that. The Steelers have had a winning season the past 19 years, and it hasn't always resulted in a playoff berth, but again, a dominant team from the Pittsburgh Steelers that could very well make their way back into the playoffs. They could have made it to the playoffs if Joe Flacco didn't suck. Oh my God, it's raining. Joe Flacco didn't suck. They very well could have made it into the playoffs. So again, you're looking at you're looking at a very good Steelers team. Browns, they suck. But three playoff contenders in one division. You have, a Super Bowl contender. There's a lot of talent in the AFC North. In the number 2 spot, I'm going to give it to the AFC East. At this point, we're in a position where all 4 teams could legitimately make the playoffs. Patriots have one of the best defenses. If their offense doesn't suck, maybe they could have a really good season. Not the same way Tom Brady could, but competent defenses help. Jets have a competent defense and Aaron Rodgers. Will it be enough for them to make a Super Bowl? No, but it might be enough for them to make the playoffs. Miami Dolphins, they nearly beat the Bills with Skylar Thompson. If Tua was able to play in that game, they almost certainly would have won that game. They lost 34-31. They were a field goal away from sending it to overtime. And that's not even a joke. Not even a joke. And of course, the Bills are a powerhouse team. They scored over 10 wins in the last 4 seasons from the Buffalo Bills. Made to the AFC Championship game in 2020. They have Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks. But I think the league is the NFC East. Last year, no team in that division finished with a losing record. And while I think the Commanders are going to regress, Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, I think they all have a good chance of making the playoffs. Eagles, a Super Bowl contender. Giants and Cowboys, no. But I think all three teams are capable of making it to the playoffs again, and that's why they're ranked there.